I traveled back to Nazareth to study a very difficult time in Jesus' life. While his ministry flourished throughout Israel for being a teacher and a healer, one place had difficulty accepting Jesus' claims, his hometown. I wanted to reflect on how Jesus dealt with rejection and why they, of all people, had difficulty accepting him as God. Well, one of the hardest groups to convince of his deity was his brothers and sisters. The siblings especially had a hard time shifting gears from Jesus the brother to Jesus the God. I mean, that's understandable, isn't it? Imagine if your brother or sister declared their deity. Look at how much trouble Joseph in the Old Testament got into when he declared after a dream that one day his brothers would bow to him. They sold him into slavery and pretended he was dead. Families have a hard time seeing us beyond what they know. How difficult it must have been for Jesus to have this side of him, this wonderful, amazing, mind-boggling aspect of his nature, and be unable to share it with those closest to him.
Even his own brothers didn't believe in him. You know, he could easily have done some miracles and said, hey, I'm the Son of God, but he didn't do that. James didn't believe until after the resurrection, according to 1 Corinthians 15. And in Mark, it says his relatives thought he was crazy, and they came to carry him away. So, I mean, there's a sign of true authenticity of the text. If you were writing a text to build up Jesus and make him something he wasn't, you would have never said, one, his brothers didn't believe in him, and two, his relatives thought he was nuts.
Jesus also faced rejection from those in his hometown. He seemed to sense their impending reaction and began his ministry in neighboring Galilee, not in Nazareth. Then, after some time, he returned to his hometown, stood up in the synagogue, and read a messianic prophecy from Isaiah, telling them it had all been fulfilled in him. Matthew 13 indicates that after Jesus taught, the people were amazed. Isn't this the carpenter's son? Isn't his mother's name Mary? And aren't his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas? Aren't all of his sisters with us? Where then did this man get all of these things? And they took offense at him. But Jesus said to them, only in his hometown and in his own house is a prophet without honor. Luke 4 says they were so furious at Jesus for his blasphemy that they wanted to toss him off a cliff. That cliff is believed to be here in Nazareth. It's a very steep and high precipice. Obviously, these people wanted Jesus dead.
Somebody who can hear the voice of the Spirit is always going to rock the world of the religious. And here you've got a situation in which he seems to have this intimacy in his relationship with God. What are they going to argue with? That he's mean and he is abusive and he's... No, they've got to find something else. And it's going to come from a religious slant. That there's something about the way he thinks that's dangerous.
In a way, shouldn't it have been easier for Nazareth to accept Jesus on his claims? He did nothing sinful to make them suspicious. He lived more godly than anyone else. If they had a contest for the most godly person in Nazareth, Jesus probably would have won every year. Yet his normalcy created the biggest obstacle.
Jesus was in the world was made by him, and the world knew him not, John says. That had to be really hard to take. You're the creator of the universe. You come in and your creatures don't even recognize you. You come into your own people, the Jewish people, and they crucify you. That's got to be really tough to take.
These were the ones that Jesus grew up with, prayed for, spent the most time with, and now they turn their backs on him. Jesus could do so much for them, yet they would not allow him to.
I'm sure it grieved his heart. I'm sure it did. I'm sure there's a sadness to it. He obviously doesn't have a chip on his shoulder about it. He doesn't attack. And so he absorbs it, and he understands that this is part of the loss. But I'm sure that grievousness was there from the very beginning.
I've been through enough in my life. I've been stabbed in the back enough by friend and foe to know that it's hard to take it from a foe, but it's a lot harder to take it from a friend.
Well, Mark 6 gives us another perspective of this dilemma. It says he could not do any miracles there except lay his hands on a few sick people and heal them. And he was amazed at their lack of faith.
Even Jesus was surprised at how vehemently Nazareth rejected him. We know of at least one sibling who eventually believed in Jesus' claims. James became a pillar in the church and was a writer of the epistle by the same name.
Jesus grew close to family and friends for so many years. Then he experienced the hardest emotion you can face from those closest to you, rejection. Jesus could not be honored in Nazareth, a serious side effect of living amongst the townfolk for so many years. Over time, and because of the resurrection, we can only hope that many from Nazareth and others from Jesus' family finally accepted him as God.